Welcome back to another episode of Marvel Man 901. So today I'm going to talk about X-Men comics. I'm going to do X-Men, and then Excalibur, then X-Men again, talk about the character known as Mastermind, and DC's Wonder Woman. So I'm going to start off with X-Men Volume 2, Issue 34 from 1994. In this issue, Gambit and Psylocke goes to Cyclops' childhood home, based on some information from Sabretooth about a possible lair of Mister Sinister. So they do actually find this incredibly big lair, actually, underneath this home, and are instantly attacked by a clone of Riptide, a previously killed marauder, basically. Anyway, they manage to stop him, and I believe actually he dies, and basically Rogue and Beast joins these two heroes to continue to check out the lair. When they basically get a little bit further inside, they meet Trinity, another character who isn't exactly a villain per se. She's a bit grey area, I guess you can say. Anyway, she apparently is hooked up to Sinister's computers, which has a very vast database of information, which she basically uses to help Sinister and to help herself. Anyway, they learn that this is basically just a huge cloning facility that Sinister is using basically to clone more marauders or other people overall, actually. They also get to know from Trinity that if Riptide clone was out, then apparently Sabretooth clone is also out. So they have to fight this half-baked Sabretooth clone, and naturally kills him too. Trinity eventually, after talking a lot with Beast, decides to basically destroy this DNA base, basically, to prevent Sinister from creating more clones. So in the next issue I'm going to talk about today is Excalibur issue 79 from 1994. So in the previous issue, naturally Douglock and Zero were fighting some Strife androids in the forest, along with some of the Excaliburs. Zero basically teleported these Excalibur members, being naturally Shadowcat, Megan, and Britannic, along with Douglock and himself naturally, to a Strife lair underneath the Pentagon. This was basically a tactic by Strife to basically hide under the Strife androids' noses. Of course, we get to see a lot more into the whole development of Zero, a lot of talking between Excalibur's, Britannic and Megan naturally, with Zero basically figuring out what the hell is actually going on. Zero realizes that he is actually evolving from just being an android, very powerful android though, into something more, actually something with emotions and stuff. So it's actually kind of interesting to see that. The Shadowcat, or Kitty Pryde, is having a lot of distrust against Douglock, naturally, because he is basically half her best friend who died to save her, and just half Warlock, this technological alien thing. We also learn in the end of this issue that Zero actually has the secret of the legacy virus in him, which is naturally a huge shock. Kinda somewhat makes sense though, as Zero is somewhat created, or at least working along with Strife, who was naturally the one who basically spread the legacy virus to this timeline. Also, a bit side note here, we also learn, basically see Moira McTaggart talking to Professor X about the legacy virus, as they basically have non-stop been trying to figure out a way to stop it. She also tells him that the legacy virus actually has moved over to humans, which is a huge development. So the next issue I'm going to talk about now is from 1966, and that is X-Men issue 25. So this issue we are introduced to the character known as Tigre. So he's basically as this guy who's looking for a special part of a pendant, which this pendant is actually a very powerful thing that was somehow actually connected to the Aztec god known as Kukulcan. He goes to New York. The X-Men actually finds out that this is probably a big danger, so naturally they go there to stop him from getting the rest of the pendant. So they go into the museum, fight his minions and him, but they actually fail, and El Tigre gets the last part of the pendant and actually becomes Kukulcan. So we'll continue in the next issue. Anyway, we're going to talk about that as character, which is Mastermind. Now, who is this guy, right? Well, he was actually introduced in X-Men issue 4 back in 1964. His real name is Jason Wyndgarde, and he's in a lot of different supervillain teams. Most notably, I guess, is naturally Brotherhood of Evil Mutants from the very beginning, and actually the third part as well, and Hellfire Club. That was, of course, when he was corrupting or changing Phoenix, which also had a lot of very nasty consequences to that. It was also part of Factor 3, which is a very small time thing actually, with the Mutant Master and all that, and naturally Second Secret Empire. So his abilities are basically to create very powerful psionic illusions, make people think that they are feeling or hearing or smelling things that aren't there. It's very powerful with that. He did, however, actually fairly recent, 1994 I believe, he died of the legacy virus, which was kind of strange to see the X-Men even actually feeling sorry for him about this. Okay, so last off now, we're going to talk about DC's Wonder Woman, Volume 2, issue 27 from 1989. So in this issue, Steve Trevor, Etta Candy, goes to Themyscira to actually see Steve Trevor's mother's statue. He basically learns more about her and all that, kind of get some closure in the whole odd relationship that he had with her. On the way back to the human civilization, Wonder Woman, Steve Trevor and Etta Candy are attacked by two powerful soldiers, basically somewhat mythical soldiers, who are basically controlled by Barbara Minerva, who naturally is Cheetah. They fight, and eventually actually Cheetah managed to steal the Lasso of Truth from Wonder Woman. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed. Naturally, this is Marvel's and DC's creations. I'm telling stories. Do subscribe and share this if you like this, and have a good day.